Maurer. Exposed. The courage to share my story. I don't love you like a husband should love a wife. In that moment, my world shattered. After 9 years of marriage and 2 children, my best friend and college sweetheart revealed he was gay. I was frozen, utterly speechless. Moments after hearing the news, my tear-filled eyes looked at my confused children, and all I could feel was helplessness. The life I envisioned with my 2- and 4-year-olds had suddenly vanished. My dreams of giving them siblings were now shattered. What had just happened? My sense of security crumbled, leaving me consumed with grief, loneliness, and helplessness. This was too heavy to bear alone, especially with Mother's Day just around the corner. In this moment, all I could say was, I need to leave, but I will come back. I left the house and jumped in my car, not sure where I was going to go. I don't know how it happened, but Jesus took the wheel, and I ended up sitting in the back row of our church. In that quiet space, I asked for help, strength, and resilience. I surrendered everything to God. This challenge was too big for me to handle on my own, and I desperately needed help. Surprisingly, I started to feel the darkness lifting from my body. I physically felt the weight of this news evaporate. In its place, I felt the need to accept and give grace. I felt stronger, more courageous. With this mindset, I knew I could be brave enough to push through the days ahead. I could move forward with intention and build the life I believe I was meant to live. I got in my car and drove home, ready to take the next step. From there, we created a plan to separate, but would prioritize the well-being of all of us. We were committed to maintaining our relationships with our extended families and friends, so we shared the news with everyone together. We made it clear that while people were free to hold their own views on homosexuality, negative comments would not be tolerated around our children. We knew we needed to be aligned and have an intentional plan. We would not tolerate people tarnishing his good reputation in front of the children. Although not everyone accepted our situation easily, I am proud to say that both of our immediate families eventually embraced our terms. Today, we all see each other frequently, and the children are very close to everyone. We knew we did the right thing and turned a very difficult situation into one that was handled with honesty and grace. At the same time, I was dedicated to building a career in the financial planning industry. It was my professional dream, and I had been working toward this for many years. After serving as an administrative assistant to an advisor for 9 years, I was ready to bloom. I had earned my certifications and licenses on my own time, fueled by determination and ambition. I eagerly awaited the promised paraplanning position when I returned from maternity leave with my son. But when I walked in on that first day back, I was blindsided to discover they had hired someone else. 2 days later, I gave my 12-week notice. Why 12 weeks? Well, I wanted to give the advisor ample time to find a replacement that I could train and ensure a smooth transition for him. I felt bitter, but not that bitter. I didn't want the transition to be difficult for him and his clients. I simply realized that I needed to grow, and the opportunity I needed wasn't available to me there. I wasn't going to waste time. If I couldn't find fulfillment in that environment, I would create a space where I could thrive, serve, and foster education and growth for my team. I vowed never to treat anyone the way I had been treated. I left that company, and, along with an advisor also leaving, we launched our own financial advising firm. I refused to let anyone dictate my future. I was determined to take charge of my own destiny. About a year later, I went through the aforementioned divorce. I was running a business in its infancy with no steady income, managing home expenses, caring for my 2 young children, navigating a lease, and the salary of an assistant. Thankfully, I had $30,000 after the divorce, and that would buy me a little time to bring in clients and start generating an income. I wasn't afraid. I felt invigorated, tenacious, fired up, and ready for the challenge. Failure was not an option. When I left my previous firm, I was offered the opportunity to take on 11 clients who no longer fit their ideal profile. Those 11 clients meant everything to me, and I devoted myself to providing them with exceptional attention, service, and gratitude. To this day, many are still with me, while others I have sadly accompanied on their final journeys. It's hard to believe that 25 years have passed since I started that firm. I didn't do this alone. My parents supported me in every way possible. My father took on tasks around the new house that were outside of my expertise, picked up children from daycare, and always treated them to their favorite snacks, memories they cherish to this day. My mom helped me organize, clean, care for the kids, all while encouraging my independence as a mother and reassuring me that they were there if I stumbled. Their unconditional support taught me the importance of balance. They often took us on driving trips around the country, helping me realize I was just a small part of a vast and wonderful world. They ignited my passion for travel, a love that my children have inherited as well. After a couple years, I was ready for love again. I longed for the connection that a married couple should share. I met a man from England while in Puerto Vallarta, and we embarked on a whirlwind romance that took us to England, Switzerland, and Ireland. Eventually, he moved to the U.S. and we were married. He had never been married before and didn't have children, so I don't think he was fully prepared for the reality of our blended lives. Over the years, I discovered that our cultural differences and our ideals about family, religion, charity, and the future were not in sync. I wish I had recognized this sooner. As time passed, we grew increasingly apart, and he became angry and resentful. For my own sanity, we led very independent lives. To this day, I don't think he even knew what I did for a living. He pursued his interests while my children and I focused on ours. After a series of eye-opening and troubling incidents, I realized I didn't want to live this way for a lifetime. 15 years was enough. I would rather be alone than subject myself, my children, and my future grandchildren to this environment. I chose myself. I chose my children. I chose to stand up for my well-being. And so, we divorced. I felt a deep sense of shame and embarrassment, and still do. Telling people about my second divorce without offering an explanation left them wondering, who was at fault? What happened? I worried about how this would affect my credibility with clients and within my community. I've shared the reasons for my first divorce with very few people until now, and I prefer to keep the details of my second one in the past. My children feel the same way. I knew I had to keep moving forward, growing with intention and purpose, and living a life filled with gratitude. I refused to let this negative experience dictate my future. Instead, I drew strength from my decision and used it as fuel to propel myself forward, quickly. The kids and I embraced a fresh start that felt invigorating. My daughter had graduated from college and decided to continue her education in nursing, while my son was about to leave for college but would be staying in town. Both were, and still are, fiercely protective of me, and I have cherished having them around frequently. My parents, as always, provided invaluable support, giving me the strength and courage to push forward with unwavering determination. After all, I loved financial advising, and still do, and I wanted to extend my impact to more people. I also began living a much more grateful life. Had I remained in an administrative role at my previous firm, I wouldn't have had the freedom to be there for my children, picking them up on sick days, staying home during their time off, traveling, and attending their sporting events. I'm forever grateful that I didn't get that job. I was finally living a balanced life, but something was still missing. I felt a strong desire to devote time and resources to charity. After doing some research, I chose the St. Louis Crisis Nursery, knowing my passion for helping children. My cup was full, often overflowing, especially when I was honored by them as Woman of the Year. I am honored to have served in various roles on the board at the nursery, including president, and am now a lifetime board member. It is one of the most rewarding aspects of my life. While I was enjoying a full and rich life, I realized I missed the blessing of a partner's love and the opportunity to love in return. So I took a risk and put myself out there. Yes, Match.com. And can you believe I met my true love? After his profile made me laugh out loud, I agreed to meet for a drink, and several years later, we were married. Brian brings me joy, purpose, and an instant family with 6 more children and 10 grandchildren. Brian is the yin to my yang. He keeps me from being too serious and encourages me to slow down and take a breath. He made me a promise of 2 + 2 + 2. Every day, he sings me 2 songs, tells me 2 new stories, and makes me laugh with 2 new jokes. Yes, he actually does this. Every woman deserves this kind of joy in her life. We are grateful for every moment we share. Our intention to build a life together has introduced us to new hobbies, like golf and scuba diving, all while fostering a shared commitment to treating everyone with dignity and respect. We built a home that welcomes family, both past and future generations. Together, we create new experiences through travel and cherish the world where we live and now thrive. Throughout the challenges of my journey, my business experienced significant growth, driven by my mantra, do the right thing for the right reasons, and the money will follow. Helping others understand and achieve financial security has been incredibly rewarding, and on multiple occasions, I've been asked to speak about this and other topics. I never imagined I would be the one others sought out for guidance, but that's what was happening, and I knew that's where I belong. I am grateful for the successful business I've built and continue to grow. My experiences have taught me the importance of relating to my clients with empathy and compassion, allowing me to forge meaningful relationships. In the community, I've discovered a vibrant network of empowered women and men who are equally dedicated to connecting, learning, and thriving together. Through our mutual support, we enhance not only our own businesses, but also the holistic care we provide to our clients. Reflecting on my journey, I realize that life is about trust. Trusting what may seem like a setback is often an opportunity for significant growth, even if it takes time to recognize. Trusting that what may seem like a setback is often an opportunity for significant growth, even if it takes time to recognize. Trusting in my strength, resilience, and ability to inspire others. Trusting that I will never lose sight of the support I've received along the way. Trusting that by being vulnerable and sharing my story, I might help someone else. Trusting that I am exactly where I am meant to be. And ultimately, trusting in my capacity to continue growing with resilience, intention, and tenacity.